All right, let's talk about a word that probably makes a lot of people break out in a cold sweat: trigonometry. But here's the thing. What if I told you it's way, way simpler than it sounds? Seriously, stick with me for just a few minutes, and I promise we're going to make this whole thing finally click.
I mean, what even are sine, cosine, and tangent? They just get thrown at you in math class, and they can feel so abstract. It's totally understandable to get frustrated when you have no clue what they're actually for.
But I promise you, we are going to untangle this mess. The big idea behind all of it is actually super simple. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, first things first, let's just demystify the word itself. Like with a lot of stuff in math and science, the clue is hidden right there in the name.
It actually comes from two old Greek words. You've got trigonon, which means triangle, and metron, which means measurement. So you put those two together, and what do you get?
That's it. That is literally all it is. Trigonometry is just the science of measuring triangles. That's the whole secret. It's about figuring out the lengths of the sides and the sizes of the angles. It's not some crazy abstract math. It's just about a simple shape. Now, the star of our show here is the right-angled triangle. And to measure it, we have to get the labels right first. And believe me, this next part, it's probably the single most important thing you need to know in all of basic trig. So first, let's get the easy one out of the way. You see that 90-degree angle, that perfect corner? The side directly across from it is the longest one, and it is always called the hypotenuse. No exceptions. It's our anchor. It never changes.
Okay, now here is the absolute game changer. Those other two sides, the opposite and the adjacent, their names are not fixed. Nope, their labels completely flip depending on which angle you're looking from. It's all about your point of view.
Let's see this in action, okay? If we're standing at angle A, the side opposite from us is BC, and the side right next to us, the adjacent one, is AB. But watch this. If we walk over to angle C, poof, everything changes. Now the opposite side is AB, and the adjacent side is BC. The hypotenuse, of course, stays right where it is. This is why you always have to ask, opposite to what angle?
Great, now that we know how to label our sides no matter where we're standing, we can finally bring out our main tools. These are those famous trig ratios that let us do the actual measuring. Here they are, our three main tools. And they're not scary, they're just simple comparisons. Sine, or sin, is just the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. Cosine, or cos, is the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. And tangent, or tan, compares the opposite to the adjacent. That's all they are. Just reliable little formulas for comparing any two sides you want. All right, theory is one thing, but let's actually put this to work. We're going to take a problem straight from a real math worksheet and solve it using exactly what we just learned.
Okay, here's our mission. We've got a triangle. It's got a right angle at B. We know that side AB is 5 centimeters long, and they've given us a huge clue. The sine of angle C is exactly 1/2. We need to find the length of side AC. Let's do it.
So first, let's just lay out what we know. The problem is all about angle C, so that's our point of view. From that corner, what's side AB? Well, it's across the triangle, so that's our opposite side. And what's the side we need to find, AC? It's across from the right angle, which makes it the hypotenuse.
So we know the rule for sine, right? It's opposite divided by hypotenuse. The problem tells us that sine C equals 1/2. We just figured out our opposite side is 5, and our hypotenuse is the unknown side, AC. All we have to do is plug those values in. And just like that, we have a simple little equation, 1/2 equals 5 over AC.
And from here, it's pretty simple algebra, right? You do a little cross multiplication and boom, there's our answer. The length of side AC has to be 10 centimeters. See? No magic, just a little bit of logic. So, what's the bottom line here? Let's just quickly recap the big ideas, the things you really need to remember so you can feel good about this stuff. First, remember that trigonometry is just a big word for triangle measurement. Second, it all happens inside the right-angled triangle. Third, and this is the most important one, those labels opposite and adjacent totally depend on your point of view. And finally, sine, cos, and tan are just your toolkit, simple ratios you can use to find any missing pieces. And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. We just use these tools to solve a problem on a piece of paper. But this stuff is used everywhere, to measure the height of mountains or to help ships navigate the ocean. So the real question is, now that you've got the tools, what hidden triangles in the world around you can you start to measure?